Good evening, SGL fans. We're back. Well, we're going to have some Rocket League in a little bit, but oh my gosh, I have the double audio on my computer. But we're back, episode 41 of the podcast. We're going to have some Rocket League a little bit later. Don't you worry about that. But first, we've got some matches to talk about from the last week. But in the wise words of my counterpart, I am not alone in the booth. Joining me is Oh, I'm just kidding. It's Mr. Maz. Maz, how are we doing this evening? Thanks for popping on, replacing Debit.
I'm glad to be here today. I've not talked to you ever, funnily enough, Rydog. It's only been me and Debit in past podcast episodes, but I'm very glad to co-host this with you. I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be so much fun because we had a ton of amazing performances in the Premier, and even though the chat may have been more predictable, we had at least them finishing up this whole week. Thanks, Premier, for going until Monday yet again. And we also have some really nice talking points from the chat that I'd like to start off with, actually. But Rydog, this has been an awesome season so far. We've had so many good performances, so many good moments, a whole lot of drama, a whole lot of sick freaking goals as well. Sorry, no clips, by the way, but we'll get that sorted out for later. And a whole lot of good talking points overall.
I agree completely. And yeah, Maz, let's just jump straight over into the championship a little bit. And I unfortunately wasn't as involved as you were in the championship, but I guess if I did have to go back, of course hindsight is 2020, but if I did go back and kind of do some predictions, I probably would have taken the teams that won this past week. I think maybe the one surprising thing for me there is maybe ECD only getting one game on Dallas Burn there. I think they're maybe a little bit better than that scoreline shows. But Maz, is there any other kind of series or maybe do we want to highlight maybe a team or a series that caught your eye?
Well, just before I jump into that, I want to highlight one big thing. I was expecting closer matches from this week. EC Defiance vs EM Dallas Burn. I thought EC Defiance was going to win that because I didn't expect EM Dallas Burn to look so good. But EM Dallas Burn looked phenomenal. I mean, they pretty much blew EC Defiance out of the park. They, had to play the first two games in US West, beat them there. It was just amazing to see how they stepped up and performed so well. And, the one game that EC Defiance won was when Playboy Party was playing. So, I guess that kind of gives you an idea of how they got that game. But for EC Defiance, at least they get a second chance at the lower final. They still have, the chance to go and win it all, especially because they've looked so good this season. But I was surprised that they only won one game. Same with Steel Army Wonderwall Blue. I expected more from that because of how good Wonderwall Blue looked against EC Defiance, but Steel Army just blew them out of the park and absolutely showed them why they were the second best team in SGL Championship for the past two seasons. So I guess the result came out as expected. The actual scoreline, not so much. But what I do want to highlight, and before I do, sorry Trash Loon, I know, but listen, this is your first season ever, so it's not so bad, Like, you guys will get back there. Trust me, you guys are on a good path for sure. And right as I've noticed Trash Loon, I also noticed Skyline dropping 169 bits. Skyline, thank you so much for the support. Really appreciate it. Really, really appreciate your, your very kind support. Looking forward to season 11? Oh, absolutely, Trash Loon. Yeah, I think season 11 is going to be a banger. I'm looking forward to seeing how you guys and Wonderwall Black do as well. But why I saved Los Verdes versus EC Eternal for last is I want to highlight Los Verdes in particular, Rydog, because despite losing all 4 games, they look the best they have in more than a season. And they got so close to winning a game. I've mentioned this so many times, but Los Verdes have yet to win a game since the start of Season 10. And they got the closest they ever did against EC Eternal, Rydog. And it was such a shame to see them not get that result in the end.
But I think that's obviously they're moving in the right direction. I think that's important, right? You don't want to take steps back. And I think they've had some roster additions late into last season that are just, they're continuing to play together. And it just reminds me of the EC Defiance team that you see there kind of making an upper bracket run there, of course, losing to Dallas Burn. But a few seasons ago where they, weren't really winning series, weren't really winning games, but now all of a sudden they just kept sticking together. They've made some roster tweaks in themselves, and now they're competing for top threes in the championship. I think I think it's probably about the same, right? If we were to do a league format with these teams, I think you're still seeing EC Defiance kind of battling Steel Army for that second spot, that third spot right there. So it's unfortunate for LV for now, but we've talked to them before, Maz, on stream, like doing the interviews afterwards, and their mental is so high, and they just take this as, hey, we're just competing, we're having fun, we're playing Rocket League with friends, and we have this secondary thing in common and cheering on Austin FC, and ultimately that's what this league is about. And so they will get that elusive series or even game win very soon. Unfortunately, we probably will have to wait until season 11 for that, but nonetheless, it is coming.
Well, they do have one more shot. They have a 5th and 6th place playoff match to play against Wonderwall Blues. So for both teams, they have a chance of getting at least something out of this season. For Los Verdes, it's that elusive game win, maybe more. And for Wonderwall Blue, it's their first ever win in SGL this season. So a lot to play for both sides. And you know what? We could have both teams winning, quote unquote, if Los Verdes gets at least one game win and Wonderwall Blue still wins the whole match. So you know what? There's a result that can make everyone happy at the end of the day. But, of course, if Los Verdes can upset Wonderwall Blue, and I'll go into why they can, then that'll be a phenomenal result. Probably the biggest upset we've had in multiple seasons.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And, yeah, I guess looking forward a little bit, we have EM Dallas Burn, obviously top 2 guaranteed there in the upper bracket final. We have EC Eternal taking down LV in 4 games there. They're going to be facing off against Steel Army. I feel like that one can be a really sneaky. Steel Army probably still wins on paper, but EC Eternal's got a good lineup. They've made some roster moves in themselves. They've now played a whole season kind of under their belt there. And so that could be a sneaky game there. And, of course, they will play – the winner of that game will play EC Defiance for a spot in the grand final. But yeah, going back, Maz, is there something else you wanted to talk about LV?
Yes. So in their lineup, they brought back Mace, and it's been almost a season since we last saw Mace appear for Los Verdes. And with him in the lineup with Trigger, we saw Los Verdes go up to a level where they were not only competing against EC Eternal, but putting them on the back foot. Now, of course, Los Verdes are notoriously slow starters, so the first 2 games, they really struggled to get themselves going. But from game 3 onwards, they were putting EC Eternal on the back foot, testing them, putting them under a good bit of pressure. And in game 4, that was when they took the lead against EC Eternal with about a minute remaining, and we were all in chat thinking, oh my god, they're about to do it. They're so close, almost there. But then EC Eternal composed themselves, Los Verdes kind of panicked, and they just collapsed at the end of the day. But we got so close to seeing Los Verdes go away with a game win. And it's because of Mace's return. And if Mace and Trigger played together and they have a capable third in, say, Sky or Justin, then I could see them troubling Wonderwall Blue and getting an upset victory over them for the whole match, not just a game or 2, for the whole match.
Yeah, very good. It's coming for LV. So any LV fan, if you are watching, let's we're rooting for you here. We want you to get that game win, and then, of course, that series win when that comes along. I guess jumping back into kind of the rest of the table, Maz, do you have any predictions on maybe who's going to join Dallas Burn in that grand final?
So just before we dive into the rest of that, I want to highlight something from Cyberbird in the chat. Because he asked, since they're slow starters, wouldn't it make sense to play some warm-ups? They actually do warm up, Cyberbird. It's just when they get into business, they just take a while to adjust and settle into the match dynamics. Because I think they're not used to play against their opposition. But once they get into tune with the opposition, that's when they start to perform better. Yeah, they're still getting used to playing in this kind of environment, I guess. Because a lot of these guys, they either barely play the game, or if they do, they don't really play too much competitive Rocket League. You know what I mean? So it'll take a bit before they really get going. But they're on the right path for sure. Speaking of chat, gotta highlight Smitty also popping in alongside Trash Loon. So we have a Minnesota United fan and a Sporting KC fan in here. Of course, Wonderwall Black versus KC Cauldron coming right after this podcast episode. So stick around, don't leave. We will be jumping right into that next match. As for Likewise for you and Wags, absolutely trash loot, absolutely. And that's the thing. You guys, once you get going into SGL and get used to this whole thing of playing with and against players who are used to their teammates, you'll get way better. But sorry, Rydog, to jump right into the predictions. The lower bracket is an exact mirror so far of what happened with Steel Army and the two Seattle sides last season. And you know how that went. Steel Army saw off EC Eternal comfortably, and they saw off EC Defiance comfortably in their way to the Grand Final against the Rebellion. Now, whilst EC Eternal has gone better, I think Steel Army are just starting to click into gear. With that said, they have no extra modes to contend with, so I think EC Eternal stands a better chance. The only thing is they got to do it in 7. So, you know, whilst they might get a couple of games going their way, they have to sustain that. And I think that's where Steel Army become dangerous, because over time they just get into the groove of things and they become unstoppable. So I think this is going to be Steel Army at 6 against EC Eternal.
Okay.
And then in the lower final against EC Defiance, I can see that being very close, because I think EC Defiance will have the time to, like, learn how Steel Army play and get used to them in 3v3, so I can see that going to 7, and I can see it's tough. It's going to be a coin toss. Really is a coin toss. I can't predict how this will go. I think this will go far, but it's going to be a very even matchup, and I don't want to predict because it's a coin toss. It's 50-50.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds about right. I think these are the 4 best teams that we have in the kind of left in the tournament, if you will. And so maybe on paper you'd say EC Eternal might be the solid 4th choice there. But like we keep saying, man, like they are the team to gatekeep and kind of just cause some problems for Steel Army, if you will. And so if they can play to their peak and what we know that they can do, Steel Army might have some issues. But of course, we will see that later next week. I guess that will be the only match for the championship next week from this screenshot. Of course, we do have kind of those other placement matches that will be played out. Maz, are they going to be played out next week, or are they kind of throughout the
No,
of
so
the
there's only one placement match for the whole tournament in both the Premier and the Championship, and it's for 5th and 6th place. That's it. Because
Okay.
4th place gets decided in the lower semifinal, and 3rd place gets decided in the lower final. So it's only one.
Perfect. Fantastic. So yeah, let us know in chat who you think, and let us know in the Discord who you think's gonna pull it out there in that lower semifinal. And why not? Why don't you just say who you think's gonna win the entire thing, the entire championship? Put that in there as well. But Maz, we talked about championship, but we also have another bracket that we want to talk about as well. It's the Premier League, which has been an absolute cinema so far. Just all of these games just unique in their own way, and just kind of different storylines clashing kind of between each other. We had 2 matches yesterday that of course I got to participate in one, and you got to commentate, and then we got to commentate the other one. It's going to be La Cinco Doce EM was the one that we commentated, and then the bottom one there, Action Army and FSD Chrome.
God.
There I got to play in, which was a cinema series as well, a little reverse sweep action for Accent Army. Of course, that last remaining match there we're going to have after this podcast, so stick around. But Mass, I guess let's just talk about each one. Maybe let's start with the Accent Army FSD Chrome series. I'll let you go first since I was participating in it. Chrome jump out to a 3-0 series lead. Super subs come in, and it's a completely different game.
So remember the caption that we had at the start of the stream, which is also in the title of the stream, Story of Super Subs? Well, if you're wondering how it went to 7, Frontera Chrome won the first 3 games, and then, Rydog, you entered the match, and it completely turned on its head. I think that's what amazes me about your matchup against them. It completely went in the exact opposite direction. It was just insane to see how one substitution made a whole difference in this matchup. Now, in the first 3 games, you know, Accent Army had Loyboy team up with Piglet and AGD Delight. Now, this is the first time AGD Delight played for a Premier side since season, I believe, 9, right? Or was it season 8?
I think it's season 8.
Season 8, yes. And one thing I will say is I was amazed by how much better he looked against top flight opposition than he did in season 9. And the other thing I want to highlight is Piglet has really stepped it up as well. So I was just amazed to see how much quicker both Piglet and Delight were playing alongside Loyboy, and how much Loyboy was also just doing his own thing rather than trying to cover for them to slow himself down or try something different. He just played his own game. And that's what amazed me at the end of the day. He didn't need to change his playstyle much to accommodate Delight and Piglet. He just kept playing his own thing. And I think if, you know, a Portland Timbers team gets to that point where Loyboy can just play with anyone and do his own thing, then that goes to show you how much better the players from the team formerly known as Axe and Rose have improved over this whole length of time.
Yeah, 100%. And as kind of the biased part of that, I am very happy with how Greg has developed a goddamn Delight there. And then same with Piglet. I mean, I think it's cool to see now that we've played multiple seasons with them, and obviously Piglet being on the TA roster, and you know, goddamn Delight being the captain of the Axe and Rose squad from last season. It's just so fun to see the progression. And it kind of makes me reminisce of back in season 7, like, hey, you're not jumping for that ball, or you're not in that position, or you're not making that save or scoring that goal or something, and now you are. And it just makes me smile, like, every time they get to step on the field and they do well. And so it's super exciting to see. And yeah, I mean, I don't want to toot my own horn here. I don't think I played that great in the series, and so maybe there was like a little mental game going on where it's just kind of you just need a change of scenery, a change of play style, different just personnel in the game, and just cause problems for FSD Chrome. I will say that they had us on the back foot for about 80% of the games, even that we did win. And so, you know, I don't think they changed their play style all too much when I did come in. They were just still, you know, all out attack and just kind of causing problems. And I think, like I said, it was just maybe a little mentality shift for Axe and Army that got them the win in the end, highlighted by a Game 7 overtime. I don't even know what to call it, because we were all in shock when it went in, but I think it was a ceiling musty double tap, if I'm not mistaken, from Mr. Loyboy himself. We put it in the Discord, so check it out. I think it's in the SGL discussion chat, or it might be in the clip chat. I'm not sure.
Well, Rydog, you know what's better? I think we could show that footage right now, because really,
can we show them?
We cannot describe it, but we can absolutely show it. So how about we dive right into that?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Chat, get ready. If you missed it, here you go. You're not gonna want to turn your eyes away from this. Looking for the dog. He could not beat Loyboy. He got demoed though.
It's again, yeah, just good pressure from Chrome. What a great touch from Chelsea, man. But you don't want to give Loyboy space, boost, and the ball. Incredible stuff there.
What a way to end this match! And it's Loyboy delivering on the magic.
Yeah, just to be able to get a musty there and still have the ability to kind of adjust yourself and still be able to like double tap that in. I think one, I could probably never do anything that caliber at all that Loyboy just did. But if I did, I don't even think I'd be able to get the double, right? I could do each thing individually. I can go off the ceiling. I can maybe sometimes hit a musty flick, and I can hit some double taps. But just to combine all three is just incredible.
Absolutely insane how he was able to pull that rabbit out of his hat, too. Because he was getting bumped there by French Toast. And with the musty, that momentum from his Fennec knocked Fiery French Toast away and allowed him to preserve his momentum so he could get the double. And he flicked the ball over Toast with that musty. So starting from near his own corner, carries it forward, gets a musty off of a flip reset, by the way. Can you believe that? He got a musty off of a flip reset. That's what's amazing to me. I think there's a name for this. There's a unique name for that kind of flip. It's not a musty flip reset thing. There's another name for that. I'm just not that clued in to freestyle jargon.
It's the name of a pro, isn't it?
It is the name of another pro, yes.
Okay, yeah, I can't remember. Yeah, Maz, can we run it back for the...
I think we can. Is it
Smitty's
Arsenal?
right. It is the Arsenal reset. You're right. It is right. It's funny. I was going to guess Arsenal, but I wasn't sure if that was right, and I didn't want to look dumb on the podcast. So, yeah, let's run it back one more time.
Looking for a double off the corner, but he taps it to the other end. And so off the corner, one touch. That's the Arsenal reset, right?
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, because that's not a musty, because he got a flip reset and then uses that to flick it with a musty like mechanic. So that's an Arsenal reset then. Yep, Arsenal reset. There you go. Phenomenal, by the way. The fact that he pulled it off against Frontera Chrome, the league champs from last year, and sorry, not the league champs, the cup champs is second place in the league last season. I mean, that's just absolutely phenomenal. And he did that. There's a reason I'm keeping this up, chat and right on. He did that with AGD Delight as the third, not Piglet. And I want to shout out AGD Delight right there, because he had a big game 7 to contribute to this. He was not a passenger at all, dude. He played a big part. So shout out to AGD Delight for stepping it up against, look at that trio in blue, Mecky Ducky, Fiery French Toast, and Chelsea Man.
Yeah, it's not like a bottom table team, or it's literally the cup champs and the second place, runners up from last season. So same with the Piglet too. I think it's the same thing of, Piglet might have more of the Prem experience, but they're learning the game still, especially at that a little bit higher of a level, and they're taking things from it, because when I go back and play with them every once in a while, you can tell that they're moving differently. They're trying different things because they see it or try and do it in these matches, and it's just so fun to see. And so yeah, you look at the scoreboard and you see the 132 and you're like, man, that's the lowest in the lobby, probably not doing too much. It's not true at all. It's definitely not true at all. I didn't feel like we had to just absolutely cover for goddamn Delight, like, at all. Like, I feel like he was doing his thing, I was doing my thing, of course Loy Boy doing his thing, which is what our game plan is going into every week. And yeah, super stoked we got the win there.
Going back to the bracket, you know what's a big shock right there? Frontera Chrome are out already in the lower quarterfinals. Just like the Rebellion, it's such a shame to see Frontera Chrome get knocked out this early, although we will get one more match with them next week for 5th place, but it's just so shocking to see Frontera Chrome, top 2 in the league, cup champions, get knocked out by El Matador, losing, in a surprising fashion, 4-1 against them, and then getting knocked out by Axon Army that started with Piglet and AG Delight going up 3-0 and then not finding a game win afterwards. It's just kind of a shock to see. But for Frontera Chrome, I believe this is a big reality check. With the Rebellion, you could say, yeah, it's a shame. And, they should not be getting knocked out that early, given how good they look. But the Rebellion have just come back to the Premier after spending time in the champ, so I kind of get that. Frontera Chrome, though, for me, this is a massive surprise. They should not be finishing in 5th. I would have expected them to be in the top 3.
Surely, yeah. And I still think they have a top roster in the league. I mean, just the way they might not have the individual talent as some of these other teams where you have Loy Boy or Luis potentially, but I called them last season the machine, right? Like old team envy, if you guys are RLCS ball knowledge knowers. They just work so well together and they flow so good. They all know what each other are going to do, and that's really what makes them unstoppable is just the chemistry there, and the fact that, of course, maybe they don't have a superstar, but they are all solid individuals, so you can't pick on a player and say, hey, we're going to make this person's life crazy, because you can do that. You can say, hey, I'm taking Chelsea Man out of the game. Okay, well, Mecky Ducky's going to flip reset on you and step up and score 600 points. Oh, okay, now we got to focus on Mecky Ducky. Nope, Chelsea Man's coming back in. Shea Bomb's coming back in. French Toast is coming back in and having a huge game. And so that's what just makes them so hard to play against. And I agree, Max. It's a huge shock. I don't think it's really indicative of their team as a whole. But just given the way that these things kind of shake up, I hate to say it, but it is what it is.
You know what? That's what shows you that the Premier is just so competitive. It's so intense that you can have such talented teams get knocked out so early. And, you know, we'll be seeing one of Cauldron and Wonderwall Black getting knocked out too. Both super talented sides. I mean, Wonderwall Black took Los Verdes to 7. KC Cauldron, you know, they might have had a rough start, but they beat a very tough Rebellion side, going all the way to 7. And they have an amazing trio of Serrano, Smitty, and Fatality, who, when they play together, can be unbeatable on their day. And Wonderwall Black have been an incredibly big surprise because, you know, on paper they're kind of unfancied, but when they play, they look like Frontera Chrome. They look like that machine, you know, that works so well and is so efficient that you don't know how they do it. But when you watch them play, you then start to understand they are greater than the sum of their parts.
Yeah, that's a great way of saying it. Greater than the sum of their parts. That's a great way of saying it. And so, yeah, what an insane series. And Mass, I hate to say it, but like, this absolutely was not the only insane match. Maybe score wise, maybe kind of storylines wise, maybe, you know, with the game 7 overtime, that insane clip we just saw from Loy Boy. But we commentated that upper final between Los Verdes and EM, and I mean, they had their own storylines too, right? EM coming off a huge sweep over KC, huge result over Chrome, like we just mentioned. You had Los Verdes playing the maximum amount of games possible up to that point, beating Accent Army in 7, beating Wonderwall Black in 7. And we have a little Texas derby here, a little rivalry. And it started well for Los Verdes, and then EM said, hold my beer.
Exactly. We have some live gameplay footage to show off right here. Let's get it started as we talk about this. And you're right, Los Verdes started up phenomenally right here. And you might be wondering, oh, but, you know, El Matador played Wicca and Huey, no Caesar. Yeah, maybe that's to be expected. Don't count out an El Matador trio with Huey and Wicca. Wicca was phenomenal for EM Dallas Burn last season. Huey might have struggled, but he started off this season very well. But you have this trio, Runsal, Devin, and Palace. You know, the OG Los Verdes trio, and they absolutely shellacked El Matador. You know, basically controlled this game from start to finish. And you can see it right here. Instant counterattack, completely disheveled, fast pace, got that lead instantly. And that's Los Verdes in a nutshell. They will cause you a lot of problems by outpacing you and keeping you on your toes and making sure that you have to continuously protect your net at all times.
Just like that, Runsal off the kickoff, just off to the side, right? It's just a kickoff. It's pretty standard, but they're just going to go for that ball. And Luis, I know, obviously just grabbed the boost and tried to get up there, but that's just how Los Verdes play. They're just always in your face, never give you time and space, and they jump out to this quick 2-0 lead. And of course, they, not to spoil anything, but they do end up winning game 1. 5-4. It was kind of a shootout in the end, but it was really just kind of a one-man show in that game 1, Maz, if you remember. It was just Luis with he definitely had a hat trick. I can't remember if he had all 4 goals for EM in that game number 1. And so I think, yeah, the game plan from game 1 to game 2, right, was, hey, let's just stop Luis because he's all really what they have right now. But as you can tell, this ball is just hanging out in the orange half. There's maybe a clear there, but then the ball just goes right back into the orange half, and that's just how Los Verdes was able to win these first 2 games.
One of the biggest problems that El Matador had was, you look at Wicca, how he was playing. He was just completely off the pace compared to his teammates in the opposition, and it threw off El Matador's rhythm completely, because you notice how much Wicca was holding himself back, not really going up and challenging like he typically does, not really pushing up and getting those cleanup moments like he tried right here, you know, a good save as well, but he just wasn't doing that often enough. And whenever Luis would try to play aggressively, you know, he'd have to then hold himself back because, you know, everyone was compensating for Wicca. And I hate to frame it like this, you know, because Wicca was having an off day, but I think even the player himself would admit it. But that's what held back El Matador. You see right here, you have Luis setting up for a dribble, tries to play Huey setting up for a dribble, passing it off to Luis, and that is what carried this team until game 3. It's that Huey-Luis partnership, which was just so phenomenal, works so well.
Yeah, and then unfortunately, Maz, if you remember this, just right after the kickoff, it's a goal right for Los Verdes. So all the hard work that EM put in to try and get that, kind of get the game back, it just ended up not doing so hot for them. And yeah, like I said, Los Verdes winning the first 2 games of the series. And then, Maz, if we want to jump ahead a little bit, Caesar comes in for Wicca, and in game number 3, and just completely turns the series around.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find out where that was, so bear with me for a second. So that was there. Yeah, so Caesar, Huey, and Luis. Now you're seeing a top player go with a partnership in Huey and Luis that has worked so well for this whole match, and the game just completely turns on its head. Look at that shouts from Caesar. No time for Palace to do anything. Kaser on the back foot having to use his boost to engage Caesar quickly. Luis winning a double, and you see the pace has completely changed at an instant. Now it's Los Verdes looking like El Matador in the first 2 games, having to, catch up and cover the net and get the boost, and they just got completely outpaced and just caught off guard.
Which is crazy, because you think of a Los Verdes team and you think pace. You think they're going to be in your face. They're going to try and, outspeed you. And like I said, EM just said, hold my beer. We're going to be faster than you. We're going to have more boost. And I think that was a huge problem for Los Verdes in these latter games, was just the boost management was not there. But you could just tell that, look, that Huey was able to come up as a third man and not be scared and kind of hold back and just get a challenge, and maybe not trying to score in that instant. Because you don't really need to do that when your 2 players are still up and trying to rotate back, but just keeping the play alive, keeping Los Verdes kind of on their heels over the course of time. And like you said, early lead for El Matador. I'm going to say Huey was the MVP of the series. He looked insane. Just each game, I think the first game he had all the assists, and then the next game he had all the goals, and then the third game he had 3 or 4 saves that were just incredible. And so shout out Huey, man. He's looked so good. Just right there, getting a goal there in game number 5, and it's just so crazy that this is what we expect EM. And I said this last night during the broadcast. This is what Season 7, Season 8 EM looked like when I joined the league back in Season 7. Like, this is what EM was, and it was scary, to play against. And I think they're cutting back to this level. I mean, look at this. Huey's feeling confident, trying to go for double taps. He had an insane double tap. I can't remember what game that was. I think that was game 6.
It was here.
Oh, was it here? Okay. It's just incredible to see how well they do.
Can we talk about that?
When they're all firing.
Sorry to interrupt you. That was an open net and Runsau missing. Now, there are already signs of Runsau being off his game, as well as Kaser. I think that tells you everything you need to know. Runsau was just completely struggling, completely off his element. It's just such a shame to see that from a player who came up clutch on so many occasions for Los Verdes. An MVP contender, by the way. He was a player of the season contender, and he was having a terrible match this whole time, especially once Caesar got involved. Just such a shame to see. Oh yeah, here's a double tap, by the way. Look at that. Palace,
so
poor
good.
guy, had nothing to do there. He couldn't do a thing.
But that's just confidence. That's a beautiful. That's just confidence. We talked to Huey after the game, and he said he's been playing the game a lot more, playing 6-mans, playing different leagues, just keeping that competitiveness up. And I think that's just benefited him so well. And of course, we always knew that he was a good player, but maybe it's just more consistency, more confidence in his play, and it just looks so much better for EM. And Maz, I know you and I were talking about this yesterday. I was like, I really don't want to play this EM team because they look that scary.
Oh, they absolutely do, and they put Los Verdes on the back foot. I mean, this is a Los Verdes side that bullied various teams in the Premier. They bullied you guys, if you all remember. Game 7, that 9-2 result.
Yep.
God. And now you see Runsau missing. I'm like, what are we watching right here, right? He was losing out on 50s, getting beaten to the ball. Same with Kaser. Kaser and SSL was getting beaten to the ball by Luis and Caesar on multiple occasions. Kaser out of boost, having to force clearances because he was having to give his team some relief. That's how bad he was. And then he lost a 50 right there, right? So all in all, like, those two got so flustered that Palace had to like force his gameplay a bit as well. And now you start seeing Los Verdes just completely unraveling, everything going wrong for them. And essentially, this happened because Caesar came in and upped the pace so much that Los Verdes had no way to respond.
Yeah, it took until I mean, they got shut out in this game, but it was over like 8 or 9 minutes of gameplay between goals. Not even between wins or whatever, between goals for Los Verdes. And of course, that's not what you want. And yeah, it's definitely an anomaly, right? It's definitely not them. They'll be back. They'll right the ship for sure. But it just proves that, like, if all three of them are having an off day, it's just the product isn't going to be as good as we know them to be. And EM took full advantage of that in this series.
I gotta rewind that real quick. Look who missed. Look who missed. Right here. Bruh. Kaser with...
a lack of confidence.
Kaser missed that, by the way. No challenge, no one harassing him. He whiffed. I think when you see that, you know Los Verdes are just having a completely off day at this moment, and they're just not going to come back. And I think that set the tone for the rest of the match. As did something earlier, I want to highlight it, in Game 4. And I think that got clipped as well. So remember, this was a very close match. It finished 2-1. And we had an insane sequence right around here. And Rydog, you see all this insane attacking play from El Matador, but you also saw them defend very well. It's no surprise that Caesar was involved in this whole match, but every single player stepped up defensively and was just phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm hoping we can see the amount of saves, because it was just incredible, right? So here's one from Caesar.
Pass to Huey, pass to Luis. Look at that. In tandem, by the way, just phenomenal. Miss.
Off the crossbar.
Weak shot,
the first save from Huey. What a save. You think that one's going in. Luis comes out of nowhere, and then the tight angle shot. I would have put that one wide, so I'm not sure how Kaser got that one on target, but nonetheless, another save from EM. Like, that's confidence. We can literally do anything, and we can do no wrong. They were feeling really good up until this point. I think Los Verdes does get one in kind of dead time to end this game. But yeah, EM are firing on all cylinders, and whoever plays them in the grand final has to beat them 8 times. Excuse me.
I mean, look at that.
8 times.
Luis had the save count, by the way, an insane squishy save. But, you know, Rudsau just dived in front of the net, hoping for the best, and he got his lucky break right there. But that would have been another highlight reel save, right? So, all in all, at the end of the match, look at that. 12 saves. 6 from Huey, by the way. You typically see Caesar getting those kind of save numbers, but it was Huey with 6 saves. Insane performance on the back and the front. He was also a playmaker, by the way, getting multiple assists in Game 3 to kickstart El Matador's gentleman sweep. And it's just a complete performance from El Matador. And for Los Verdes, you know, it just all unraveled once they got this trio going.
Yeah, I think, like I said, unfortunately, they will drop down to that lower final, and so of course they only have to win one more game or one more series for a rematch with EM in that grand final. But yeah, like I said, whoever comes out of that, you know, that lower final, whether it be Wonderwall Black, KC, Axon Army, Los Verdes, whoever it is, they have to beat them 8 times. You have to beat that team 8 times to take it. And so do we see that happening? I think if that last trio for EM plays, I think it's going to be a really quick series. Whoever comes out of that lower final, unless we see, you know, maybe a Los Verdes come online, we see a full strength Axon Army, which, inside information, they're rotating a lot, so might not get it. So, you know, I don't know. It's going to be really tough, and of course EM gets a little bit of break, and I guess you could say that's at the wrong time too, because they are playing so well. So maybe that's kind of the one question mark that you have for this EM team going to the grand final is, can they find that form back in a few weeks when that team from the lower final faces them? We'll see. But yeah, what an absolute cinema week. And we got one more match, Maz, like we keep saying, that one kind of in the middle there, that lower quarterfinal. Miss Wonderwall Black of Minnesota United taking on KC Cauldron, a little Midwest derby, if you will, there. So, but guys, we are going to take a super quick break, and we're going to get some new friendly faces into the stream as well. So don't go anywhere. We're going to start with the preview and the kickoff right after this.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for hanging out. Stick around. We'll be kicking off with Wonderwall Black versus Casey Calvin in about 5 minutes. We will see you very soon. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back.